Capcom has delivered something genuinely special with Resident Evil Requiem. On one hand, it's easily the most photorealistic horror game I've ever touched. It's the kind of visual fidelity that makes you stop and stare out a window for 3 minutes before you realise a zombie's starting to approach. But on the other hand, it's a game with a slight identity crisis. It's a split-brain experience that forces you to constantly flip between being a terrified victim and a literal action movie god. It's a beautiful, modern throwback to the series' roots, but that constant whiplash is exactly why you might end up having some problems with it. This is the 9th mainline entry in the saga, built on a heavily upgraded version of the RE engine. I've been playing this on the Xbox Series X, where it'll set you back £60 or about $70. You're playing through a dual narrative. One half is a slow burn, first-person survival journey with a new character named Grace Ashcroft. And the other is a high-octane, third-person action mission with the series superstar Leon Kennedy. It's set mostly in Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Centre, a massive interconnected facility that acts as a spiritual successor to the RPD. If you were looking for that one big house structure, Capcom has definitely brought it back, and very much in style. Visually, this game is a joke. I mean that in the best sense possible. Some of the environments look so close to real life, it's actually hard to focus on the gameplay. The lighting on the Series X is a genuine showcase of what current gen hardware is actually for, and why we don't really need a new generation just yet. When you're creeping through the darker wings of the hospital, the way your forensic light catches the dust in the air and the peeling wallpaper is absolutely staggering. But the real win here isn't just the pixels, it's the structure. It's a return to form for the series. It's mostly one big location filled with actual logic-based puzzles and that classic sense of dread that comes from not knowing what's behind the next door. When you're playing as Grace, it's some of the best survival horror I've played since the Dead Space remake. Worth noting, I don't play a lot of this genre, so take my opinion as you will. Grace is slow, her inventory is painfully small, and you actually have to use your head to survive encounters, rather than just blasting the infected away. I also really love the new blood collector system. Having to harvest infected plasma from downed enemies to craft medkits or those one-use hemolytic injectors for stealth kills adds a new layer of risk and reward that feels very old school. You aren't just a tank here. You're an analyst trying not to have a panic attack, and the game does a great job of making you feel that fragility. Grace spends most of her time meticulously collecting blood samples just to survive another 10 minutes. I'm asking for something slightly less morbid. If you're finding this look at the game helpful, maybe think about collecting a like or subscription to the channel. I'm just trying to figure out which games are actually worth that £60 asking price so you don't have to deal with buyer's remorse. Okay, back to the review. Then it all switches, and the game remembers Leon is in it, and it completely loses its mind. This is where that split-brain design can really start to grate. 1 minute you're crawling through a vent, terrified for your life as Grace, and the next you're playing as Leon in a full-blown action movie, carving through hordes of zombies with a chainsaw. The whiplash is real. It can somewhat kill the tension Grace works so hard to build. It feels like Capcom was terrified that a pure horror game wouldn't sell, so they shoved in a World War Z mode to keep the action fans happy. Leon is great though, don't get me wrong. His gunplay is John Wick slick, and his dad jokes are as dry as ever. But I can see how it might feel like he belongs in a different game entirely to some of the die-hard fans. For me though, I really enjoyed the switching between characters. It kept me interested if I got bored of running around as Grace. I was refreshed by the next chapter allowing me to go on a wild killing spree as Leon. The technical polish is extremely high, but the design choices are a bit all over the place. For a full price game, the lack of a mercenaries mode at launch is a little bit of a letdown, especially since Leon's combat is so satisfying. We also didn't get the A and B campaign sides that made the Resident Evil 2 remake so replayable. Instead, we have a lot of unskippable walking and talking segments that are going to make a second playthrough feel like a bit of a chore for some. It's a brilliant story and a gorgeous world, but it feels like it was built for people who play a game once and then trade it in, which, let's be honest, is increasingly rare due to digital downloads. If you're a fan of the RE2 remake and you miss that claustrophobic, one big facility vibe, you're going to love the majority of this game. It's also a must-play for the tech nerds who want to see the new benchmark for lighting and gore. However, you need to be a patient player. You have to be okay with the game changing its personality every couple of hours. If you want a consistent, focused horror experience from start to finish, the Leon sections are probably going to annoy you. He's a bit too much of a superhero for the world Grace is trying to survive in. Resident Evil Requiem is a gorgeous, fractured masterpiece. It's easily the best the series has looked, and when it leans into that RE2 style of exploration and puzzles, it's some of the most engaging horror I've played. The John Wick Leon sections were enjoyable to me, but I can see how it could be jarring to others. And the lack of side content at launch is a bit of a sting, but the highs are just too good to ignore. It's a definitive buy from me. It's the most interesting Resident Evil has been in a long time. So drop a comment and let me know. Are you into the slower Grace-style horror, or are you just waiting for the next big explosion? See you in the next one, guys.